Yo, what up everyone? In this video, I want to recap primarily the S&P 500 for the first week of March. There was a lot of setups. I want to get into some trades that I took, some trades that I didn't take and why I didn't take them, along with market context and going over some trades that we took in my Discord community that we absolutely killed and destroyed. Before we get into the recap, it's going to be loaded with information. All I ask is subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't already followed me on Instagram at Ameritrade, I'm going to post a link in the description below. On here, I post daily trading recaps along with very good trading tips and tricks that I guarantee you aren't going to find anywhere else. Link in the description below. You're missing out if you're not following it. But now let's get right into this recap. Let's first get into the action from March 1st, which was Tuesday. Let's go over the pre-market plan. I post these every single day in my Discord of the setups I'm watching, levels I'm looking out for, and it's available for Entrepreneurship members. You all know I love trading the S&P 500, whether you trade the future contracts or SPY options off of it. It's very liquid and it works extremely well with supply and demand. So the pre-market plan called for bulls had an advantage overnight on Tuesday. We failed to take control at resistance, and now they're fighting evenly with bears. All we have to do is play our levels and see how or if price responds. I made a video in the past saying supply and demand zones give me my where, and I use price and volume to tell me why I should or why I shouldn't enter the trade. So going into the market open, we had this 4338 demand zone. Let me maximize this a little bit. I'll show you what it looked like before the market opened. We had the 4338 demand that I said as long as we could hold above the 4317 area, we're likely to balance or rally into the 4367 supply. And I said true strength from buyers comes from intraday action above the 4380 and 4400 resistance. And then we could target supply above at 4411. Keep in mind to the 4411 because that's going to be an important reference area for a trade later in the week. So now with this context, I said if we cannot hold above 4317 and selling pressure takes control, I'm going to be watching for a sell-off into 4,300 and then 4,257, which is this yellow line right here. I want to see selling pressure get below. So now I'm going to go to what it looked like when the market opened up, and we had a clear rally inside of supply. The market looked like it was moving higher, but I said real strength from buyers comes above 4380. Now at this point in the intraday commentary tab, this is basically where I post, my thought process as the market's developing, what I'm seeing. And I couldn't get a live recording of what I saw on Bookmap. Let me just maximize this. Let me zoom out for you guys. We saw as we came inside of supply, make this a little bigger, we saw some aggressive selling coming in. As the market came back up to test supply, supply is going to be in this area where I'm hovering my cursor. As we came into it, we saw some aggressive sellers coming back into the market. And as we were moving lower, we saw passive sellers adding a position at the supply zone, and then our reaction out of it was heavy selling pressure out of that. So what it looks like on a candlestick chart is you're really just going to see a bunch of green candles coming inside of supply, but there was some very heavy selling activity inside of the supply, and especially at the 4371 area where I took the S&P short, stop above the high. For this trade, this is why I love trading supply and demand, because it offers very minimal risk when we get our confirmation signals. At this point, I'm risking about 4, 5, or even 6 points to potentially make, if we sell off into demand, about 30, 35 points. So my risk is very, very small compared to my reward. And if this trade works out, it's never going to be a perfect world where we sell off from supply into demand. We got to be realistic with some targets intraday. But if it works out, our risk is very small compared to what we can potentially make on the options or on the futures. I'm going to show you what the options did after this. But then we put in a lower high and we saw some aggressive selling pressure coming into the market. And I said there's some good buying pressure at the 4360, 4355 area that I'm just being a little cautious with, because as the market opened up, there was some buying pressure. Eventually, the market took that with ease. We got below it and we held value below it. At 10 a.m. Eastern, we had the ISM index that came out that I said if we could get a lower high at supply and a strong break below 60 to 55, we might see some strong selling come in for a move back into demand. I'm in my short position at this time. This is just going to add more fuel to the fire for a potential sell-off. We rallied, acted as resistance at 4360, 4355, and continued the bleeding into demand where I sold my full position. Is a very stress-free, easy trade, just using supply and demand and price and volume to confirm it. Like I said, the market is presenting a lot of good scalping opportunities, which offer a small window for execution. You have to be fast. So as the market came into this demand zone, we rallied. With the context, this is where context comes into the picture. Sellers had control all intraday. Yes, we could be at demand. Yes, we could rally out of this demand. But because I took profits at demand, I'm not looking to flip-flop and getting long at this zone, although it could bounce. With the aggressive selling pressure that we saw intraday, I'm more leaning towards the bear side if we fail to find buyers at this demand zone. Now, remember what I said from the pre-market plan. I said, if we cannot hold 4317 and selling pressure takes control, I'm going to be watching for a sell-off into 4300 and then the 4257 demand zone. So then we got this bounce out of demand. There's absolutely no edge in this. Yes, you could scalp a quick opportunity off demand over here. Nothing wrong with that. I'll never complain about a 20-point rally on the S&P, 25-point rally. So scalping conditions are good, right? But sellers have control. We came into this demand zone and we did nothing for about 30 minutes. This is where a majority of traders are going to have FOMO. This is where they're going to want to force positions because they saw how much they could have made on that sell-off. They get the itch and they want to be actively present in the market and make money and just get in because they see others doing things or even just seeing their setups work out. Now we hit this demand and there's no edge in this. I even said it in the Discord. Let me pull this up over here, that I'm not looking to get long at the moment, although it could work. I'm not open to playing at this demand. I need to see some strong clues I do not see yet. Sellers still have control intraday and the pre-market plan levels are still valid. And then there's not much edge in this movement right now. And then the market started selling off. Now, this is where, if you weren't patient in this area, you have to be ready to strike for when the market comes and gets below our levels. We got below the 4317, 4323 area. And as soon as we got below it, we saw some heavy aggressive selling pressure, as you can see from this volume. We had that continuation move into 4300, scaled out some more short position after I entered on that break, stop above the high, and then we continued to sell off. I did not sell full profit at this 4283 demand. I actually stopped out as we started bouncing up over here, the remaining 20% of my position. But then we hit the 4283 demand. I did not play any trades after this, but I want to keep an important note here that this 4318, 4323 area acted as resistance after we bounced off demand and after we found a bid. So this was Tuesday's action. There were many ways to play it. You got to get creative with it, come up with your levels of interest and see what and how and why price reacts at them. And that's how you come up with high quality setups. And at the time of that sell-off, I pulled up the SPY 434 puts. At the time we hit supply, they had a low of $2.80. And by the time we hit demand end of day, no one's ever going to buy the bottom and sell the high, but the contracts went up over 180%. Even a quick move yielded 60, 70% intraday. That's why I love to see volatility intraday, especially when trading options. And then the 4283 demand zone, I forgot to mention that day, was key. I said there's not much supporting this. It's a good place to scale out some puts there. It's an extended move without a relief bounce. We had a crazy 50, 60 point sell off without any relief bounce. If the market can't keep going down forever, if you're in a position, you got to protect yourself for a relief bounce, because if the market went straight up or straight down forever, we'd all be trillionaires, not even trading. So I said, I'm not looking to flip long, still bearish. The 4287 area is a good area of support. Then the following day, I'm going to close out the SPY puts. Keep in mind, this is all impromptu. I didn't even plan to make this recap video, but there was a lot of lessons to learn. Now the following day, March 2nd, I did not take a trade, and I'm going to explain why I didn't, and I'm going to explain why maybe I should have, but I'm going to speak in hindsight a little bit because a setup did present itself, but as the market was developing, I didn't really recognize it at that moment. It was only until after, and it was too late to enter the position. So now looking at the pre-market plan, we had our 4283 demand zone, which bounced price yesterday, and it also bounced price overnight. So that's an important reference area. And we had that same supply zone at 4367, and then the 4380, which is going to be resistance. The market is in a 3-day balance, so any move outside of balance should lead with acceptance and continuation. If buyers could get above 4367 and have the strength to test above 4380, a move into 4411 supply is very possible, and then we had a downside position or downside scenario. Now the problem with this is the market opened up and we had a strong rally. I did not spot this intraday. I only found this after reviewing charts after the fact. We're not perfect as traders. Sometimes we don't take trades. That's fine. The market will always present opportunities. Remember that area at 4317, 4323 that I said from yesterday? Look what happened as the market opened up. I mean, we acted as support pretty perfectly. We rallied into it. We sold off. In fact, another thing that I did not spot was this also formed demand in this area that as we pulled back into the support or the resistance from yesterday, it acted as support, also confluent with demand, also confluent with VWAP. When we get all of these factors that add up, this could have been a valid trade. I did not take it. I only saw this after the fact, and we had a clean rally up. Now, this clean rally to the upside inside of supply also validated new demand in this area where I just highlighted. And this move up into supply formulated this demand. And at this point, Powell is testifying. He's on CNBC. He's testifying, just talking about or taking Q&As from reporters. And at that point, what I've noticed in my journal is I take the biggest losses and I force a lot of trades because I am trying to anticipate what Powell is going to say. So I'd rather avoid this action. And I was telling members all day in the intraday commentary tab that I am not looking to short the supply zone. I'm not interested in it because we're seeing a different reaction inside of it than what we saw yesterday. Go back to yesterday. If you remember, we rejected that supply perfectly. Today we're rallying inside of it and we're not seeing any selling activity. I'm going to briefly go over what I saw that I didn't like. I didn't short this because Powell was testifying. We also had the new demand that formed. We also were making consistent higher highs and consistent higher lows intraday. Also, when we came inside of supply, look at how price was consolidating inside. That validates acceptance inside of supply. Buyers are accepting value higher. Look at volume, it died out. I did not like to see that. And just because we have a red candle inside of supply doesn't mean to take the market short. You got to use context and you got to use kind of volume and price to give you confirmation. A red candle is okay, but that's not totally okay to enter a position with such risk. And different reaction equals a different result. Yesterday we hit supply and sold off. I'd rather play defensive and not take this trade if it works out than take it and force it. And it was a good call. I know a bunch of members avoided taking it. Some still took it, didn't listen to really what I was saying, but it's a lesson learned. That consolidation inside of supply is not something you want to see. You kind of want to see sellers immediately step in. We hit 4,400, and then the full overnight session, look what we did. We consolidated inside of supply on a larger time frame picture, consolidating outside and on the top of the balance range. This is going to be key for tomorrow. On Thursday, to get context, let's look at the levels again. The plan on the S&P was that supply yesterday at 4367, which as you can see from this pink box, was invalidated right now. I'm not looking to play the market short. And I said if we want to be bullish, we have to stay above it, which is why I left it. If we could stay above and strong volume in the first hour, we could see a rally into 4,400 and then the 4,411 key supply zone to target. This is where context comes into the picture. We consolidated inside of supply, not only yesterday or on Wednesday, but also the full overnight session where we held above it. This is telling me buyers are accepting higher prices because we are building volume at the highs inside of a supply imbalance where there's already existing low volume from the past. So now we invalidate this. I'm going to leave the 4367 line on there. and I'm going to label it as bears below, because this is going to be an important area for a following scenario. But if we could get some strong buying volume in the first hour, we could see a rally into 4,400 and then the 4,411 key supply. This happened before the market opened up. So for you futures traders, I know a bunch of them capitalized on this before the market opened up. We have some really good and talented ES and NQ traders in the Discord. Very, very talented futures traders. But we got buying volume to build prior to the market opened up, above 4,400 into 4,411, and then the market opened up inside of this 4,411 supply. Now, I was not actively trading the market this day. I wasn't here to watch every single tick up and down. I wasn't really able to watch the tape develop in real time. But I honestly, looking back at the chart, was not expecting the velocity of the sell-off that we saw. We had a crazy sell-off from the key supply zone. It was a very important area that bulls and bears needed to fight it out. Obviously, bears won this battle. Some nice upper wicks inside of supply, some nice selling pressure out of it, and then the market sold off. I said, if we fail to find buyers inside and above the 4,367 supply and sell out of it, we are going to test lower prices. This will be done at the 4,351 demand or 4,333. And if we got below that, it opened the door for a larger sell-off. Keep in mind, as I'm going through this video, these are levels of interest. These aren't, hey, we're coming into supply, this is automatically going to sell off. I don't want it to make it look like that's what happens. These are levels of interest. They are plotted before the market opens up. They are here before price trades at them. Our job as a trader is to react to what price tells us at those levels. That is how we come up with quality setups, and that is how I personally take trades. So we hit the supply. I'm going to go to a 5-minute chart just to see it a little bit better. We hit the supply perfectly, some nice upper wicks and consistent lower lows, consistent lower highs, and heavy selling pressure throughout the day. We got below that 4,367 demand, or not demand, just key level, and we had a quick flush into the 4,351 supply or demand where we found a bid, and then some news came out around 12:30. We rallied, and this rally got stopped at the area of supply from right here. This is an area of supply. We hit it perfectly, and then the market sold off back into demand where we double bottomed. And then from that pre-market plan, another move that happened overnight was, for you futures traders, if we fail to find buyers at the demand, it opens the door for a $4,300 break, and then 4,283 demand. Sold off into it. Overnight, we bounced at that level. And now look what happens intraday. As the market's opening up Friday, we're bouncing about 18 or 20 or so points from this. And I got to stop the recording at this point because I have to walk out of my setup. I'm not at my main trading office setup this week, but goes to show you the beauty of trading. You could do it from anywhere as long as you develop a deep relationship with price and volume, understand what's going on in the market. It's a very powerful skill that can compound you a lot of money. And it gives you the freedom to do whatever you want. So I'm going to leave you all off on that note. Some nice setups, some trades that I didn't take, some trades that members took, and some setups that I did take. Clean action this week. Very, very clean setups. Worked extremely well. Very good way to end the week. And I'm going to leave you all off on that note. If you enjoyed this video, this was completely impromptu. I did not plan to make a video. I'm not even at my main setup, like I said. But I hope you could take something out of this video. Drop a like, comment any questions, and be sure to check out the links in the description below. I offer a very in-depth and educational course that comes with access to the Discord at no extra charge. That is the only way I offer Discord access is through the course, as that is where all the education is, and there's tons of education at it. So peace out. See you all next video.